publish, of course, scientists are mainly interested in publication. They are at the basic principle, or they are at a research finding, which may have a potential to become a technology. But for this principle or a finding, research finding, to become technology, there is a long journey that has to take place. So from a research finding, you may have to develop a concept, and the concept has to be proved as a proof of concept, and then it has to be validated. So we call this as a ladder of technology readiness level. Of course, this actually terminology comes from NASA. So they introduced this concept of technology readiness level. So most of the academic institutions are at the this end, where they are having research findings which may become technologies. So academic institutions may go up to, say, level 3 or level 4, where they show a proof of concept. But then if this is to go to become a technology, there is much more work needed. So there is a big gap, which is often referred to as the valley of death. That is because most of the findings, we say, ends up in shelves as publications. So further, nothing happens to that. So that gap, there is a big gap. So what is needed to be done to fill this gap? So there, maybe many times biology researchers are interested in working on a single, they have a focused area. So they are generally only restricted to their own discipline. But then if it has to become technology, for example, a biological finding, you say one plant has a anti-cancer activity. So a researcher may find this. But then if that plant, you have to have a product developed from that, you may need a chemist who knows about the phytochemicals. You need pharmacologists who may know how to develop drugs out of these phytochemicals. And then you need people who can do clinical trials, animal experiments. So you need a multidisciplinary team before it can become a technology. So that stage is referred to as translational research. So now there is encouragement for doing this, and this is where we need multidisciplinary collaboration. So before the industry comes in, there is this big gap. Next slide, please. So this is where the DST thought that, of course, Government of India has been funding a lot of research. The ICMR, ICAR, DST, DBT, all have been funding a lot of research. But when they looked at how many of them become technologies, they found that there are very few. So what is the gap and how the government can facilitate this? So DST then thought to establish this technology enabling center. So what we do in a technology enabling center is to connect academic institutions and industry, and we even within academic institutions, different disciplines. The different, we try to bring together doctors and engineers. We had Dr. Rajendran here, who just now mentioned that generally doctors are working in their own areas and there is no crosstalk with other disciplines. So we facilitate this type of crosstalk between different disciplines and try to facilitate the development of technology. And as technology gets developed, you need to protect your intellectual property. So we need to have patents filed. So we try to facilitate this IPR protection. And then we are also facilitating transfer of technology. Now, research findings may be there not only with academic institutions, but also with the industry. So we also need to talk to the industry. They have certain observations. They have problems. So we need to understand what are the problems of the industry and try to see how academic institutions can address these problems of the industry. Next slide, please. So our mandate in a technology enabling center is to create an ecosystem for technology development in universities, academic institutions, and collaborate with other academic institutions and also national laboratories and also with the industry. So we are only enabling, we are not incubating. So we are between the academic institution and industry or incubator, and then trying to connect these two and provide an enabling environment. So we try to bring together institutions, have discussions with them, they may need funding at this stage. So we facilitate them to get projects to carry on this activity further and so on. Next slide, please. So these are our main activities. So we are trying to mine technology. So we were talking to the main thing is we need to connect with other institutions. And when we talk, we come to know many things. So when we were talking to many of the startups, we were talking to Atal Incubation Center at Krishnadevaraya University. So when we talk, we get a lot of ideas and what things can be done and taken forward. And we have expertise in different institutions. So we have to bring together these expertise from different institutions and different sectors of this technology readiness level where institutions can come in, and then see how we can facilitate this development of technology. So mining the technologies, then assessing them where they are at the technology readiness level, and see how we can support them to take these forward. And now, for example, NITE University as an example, but we work with all academic institutions and incubators. So we have a hospital, we have dental faculty, medical faculty, engineering faculty. So we try to bring together these faculty and try to see, for example, developing medical devices or testing drugs or pharmacologically important compounds and trying to develop diagnostics. So this kind of activity we try to promote in different institutions. So we work with other institutions also. St. Joseph Engineering College we see here. So we are working with them also. Canberra Engineering College and number of other institutions where we are trying to facilitate this type of activity. Next slide, please. So these are some of the activities that we conduct by networking and developing projects and facilitating technology transfer and facilitating pilot testing of these products developed by startups. Next slide, please. So these are some examples of academic institutions and industry partners with whom we have been working. And of course, there is no limit. We are open to working with institutions everywhere. Wherever there is need, we can try to fill in the gap. Next slide, please. So presently, of course, we are working with, for example, problems of the Coffee Planters Association. We are working with KCCCI, trying to understand what are the problems of the industry. We are working with CFTRI, Mysore and other medical colleges and trying to bring together experts from these different institutions. And we are expanding this to other areas of Karnataka because Technology Enabling Center is supposed to be for the whole state of Karnataka. And there are Technology Enabling Center in other states also. So we try to connect with them and try to see how we can act together and try to see how we can bring in expertise from one area to another. Next slide. So I'll give some examples of this type of interactions. Next slide, please. Now, for example, the device that can help babies. Now, when babies are born, sometimes the infants go into asphyxia. So how to prevent this asphyxia and try how diagnosis can be done early. Now, in a hospital, in a say city, there are big hospitals. These hospitals have blood gas analyzers. So quickly they will analyze the blood and see whether the infant can, is there any chance of the infant becoming susceptible to asphyxia. But what about in a rural area? They don't have devices. So this startup, Mr. Avinash, he has developed a device which can analyze the blood and give the parameters that are required. And it is a one-time use device. So it can be used in a rural area. Now, he has developed, as a biochemist, he has developed this device. Now, this has to be tested. So how to facilitate this testing? So then we connected him to the doctors in our medical college. So we have pediatricians here. So we had the project was submitted to the Biotechnology Industry Research Assistance Council, and he is now incubating in an incubator. So now we are going to do validation of this device. So we are facilitating this through our medical college. So this is how we can help a startup. Well, he has a product, but that product has to be validated. And that requires an institution where he doesn't have connect. So this is where we come in and try to facilitate this. Next slide, please. So these are some of the other startups. We also connect with the Society for Innovation and Entrepreneurship of IIT Mumbai. So IIT Mumbai is a great institution, engineering institution, and they have so many engineers working there developing devices, medical devices. But then these devices have to be validated. So this is where we come in. So we partner with them and we help their startups to validate the prototypes that they have developed and see how that can be made more user friendly, more user possible to use in hospitals or in mainly rural areas. So these are some of the startups with which we have been working. Next slide, please. And we also facilitate academic institutions. So we bring together institutions and help them support, submit projects to BIRAC. That is the agency, but we can help to fund other funding agencies also. We can help. So these are some of the examples. Next slide, please. And this is one more engineer who has developed a device or a system for storing fish in a hygienic manner and without wasting the material and reducing the waste. So this is now, of course, he has also become a startup. He's going to further develop this, and we are trying to see how this prototype can be supported. Next slide. This is another startup that came up from collaboration between a medical college and a dental college and an engineering institution. So this a dentist, they came up with the problem of periodontal disease. Now all of us face problems of pain in the oral cavity because of infections. So when these infections occur, how to detect them? Is it an infection or is it due to something else? So normally we know that if we have an injury, there will be warmth. So there is an increase in temperature. So this dentist wanted to develop a device which can measure temperature within the oral cavity regions where they suspect infections to have taken place. So they collaborated with our engineers, a team of engineers from our NMIT, and developed a periodontal probe. So this probe can not only detect temperature, but it can also measure the depth of the cavity. So it can tell many things which the dentist would require for treatment. So now they have registered a startup, and with our incubator, they are doing this further. They have made some prototypes which have been distributed to different dental colleges, and to get opinion from them how to improve this and make it more user friendly to dentists, connect to dental chair, and so on. Next slide, please. So these are some of the examples of other institutions with which we are working. Next slide, please. And also we try to bring in industry. So now here, this was a project that we tried to help an academic institution, a researcher who is working on carbon credit. Now, of course, we have one startup who there from NITE who has developed a device for measuring carbon credits in various areas. Now, this researcher, he is working on ocean acidification. We know climate change leads to the oceans becoming acidic. Now, how to manage this problem and what are the chemical changes that are taking place? So this researcher wanted to identify, because he is from a physical research laboratory. So he wanted collaboration with biologists. So he approached us, and with the help of this industry partner, who is a big producer of ornamental fish. So he's a big exporter of ornamental fish. So we set up some studies, microcosm studies, to see how the carbon or acidification is taking place. So we try to facilitate this type of collaboration between academicians and industry and try to see how these ideas can be taken forward. Next slide, please. Next slide, please. And we are working with number of industries and trying to facilitate addressing their problems. One of the problems we are addressing is also with Camco. We are working on the possibility that, of course, if you, it's generally believed that Arakwa is grown in this region and so much of consumption takes place. But normally people consume this areca with tobacco and number of other things. And people have a belief that, okay, even WHO has said that if you take these products, there is a possibility that you may get oral cancer. So the oral cancer may not be due to areca, but due to other components that you are taking along with that. So Camco wanted us to investigate whether areca alone is carcinogenic. So we are working on that using different models: cell culture model, animal model, zebrafish model, and also our dentists are working on the community setup. So we are trying to facilitate this type of research to address the questions which industries have. Next slide, please. Next slide, please. So we have a number of MOUs with other institutions. Next slide, please. Yeah, these are some of the examples of this type of collaborations. We also collaborate with even institutions abroad, with Sahlgrenska University in Sweden. So public health students from there came and they were trying to see how Indian system works. So we try to facilitate that type of collaboration also. And of course, NITTE is also working with Northeast. Our Chancellor, Sri Vinay Hegde, has a lot of affiliation to help students from Northeast. So NITTE is offering students from Northeast seats in many of the institutions here. I think some 40 seats are offered to students from Northeast. Now, so we have developed this connect with the institutions and students in Northeast. And now we are trying to see how we can connect with the incubators and academic institutions there and see how our technology enabling center could contribute to this, and try to see how technologies developed there could be taken forward. Either it can be transferred to industries here, or if they are at a lower level of technology readiness level, how we can facilitate them being taken forward. Next slide. So these are some of the MOUs with other institutions. Next slide, please. And some of the technologies developed and in pipeline through our technology enabling center. Next slide, please. So we have a list of these technologies available and the technology readiness level is also indicated in our website. So this can be seen by anybody. So this is an open website. So people who are interested in this technology, we can facilitate the transfer of this technology, and whatever action is required to take them forward, we can try to facilitate that. Next slide, please. And this is a continuation of that. Next slide, please. And yeah, these are some of the products and some of the food technologies from NITTE who have developed this. Next slide, please. And we have number of technologies which have been also transferred and commercialized. Next slide, please. So this is one is the example of beetle leaf tea. I think yesterday Indrani spoke about that. So this one startup came to us. Of course, he was a journalist at that time. He was observing that beetle leaf is grown in his village, and he wanted to see what product can be made from that, which is available to common man. So our food technologists developed a tea with this beetle, and which is now become a product and is already commercial. And then that is the other group is the Dentronics I mentioned. You have the professor of dental surgery and also engineering professor who have come together to develop that periodontal probe. So that is also now a startup already. That product is under development. Next slide, please. Yeah, this actually, it was a project of a postgraduate student, Dr. Karishma, who is there. So she is the CEO of this startup and she is taking this forward now. Next slide, please. And this is the product release of this beetle tea, which happened in Bangalore. So we had a program when the product was made available to journalists and others who came for this program. Next slide, please. And other technologies, we have diagnostics for medical purposes or for aquaculture or for other, because we have molecular biologists and specialists who are working in different areas of biotechnology. So we facilitate this. So this is one technology for detection of salmonella. We know food poisoning is mainly caused by this organism, salmonella, which is there in poultry, eggs. So to detect this very quickly. So we have this technology which has been taken by the industry. Next slide, please. Yeah, and he is working with us in number of areas. Next slide, please. And there are other technologies like bacteriophage technology. Now, antibiotic resistance is a big problem in all hospitals. So doctors are finding it difficult to treat patients because the bug which is causing infection is resistant to all drugs. So how to address this problem? So we have a biological control. So we have a virus which can attack these bacteria. Now this technology, actually we developed such a technology for aquaculture as early as 2005, and the product came to the market also with this company called Manglo Biotech. So they had this technology, which of course they are still producing this for aquaculture. Now we are working on a more advanced form of this with groups of bacteria, like the whole group of vibrios, which can cause infections in aquaculture. So this is one technology which has been transferred. Next slide, please. So this is another technology for detection of these vibrios for diagnostic purpose in aquaculture. Next slide, please. And of course, we facilitate patent applications from, it could be a startup or faculty or students. So we facilitate that. Next slide, please. So on our website, we have examples of these patents which have been filed, published, and so on. Next slide, please. Next slide, please. And we also organize programs for other institutions on awareness of this IPR protection. Next slide, please. And also how to facilitate the transfer. And we bring also experts from different areas. So we have we had a scientist from institute called Agarkar Institute in Pune. It's a DST institute. He has developed a number of nanotechnologies, and he wants to see that every PhD thesis leads to a technology development. So we brought him here to explain to him, to our students, this concept and how they can also go in that direction of producing every PhD thesis leading to a technology development and patent, and then finally a commercial technology. Next slide. And we also bring experts from industry. So now this expert, Dr. Narayanan, he's actually a biotechnologist and also a very well-known entrepreneur. And he has developed at least 7 or 8 technologies, and 2 of his technologies have been bought by Tatas. So Tata Soulful, you might have heard. So that is a product that he developed, and he has now sold it to Tatas. So we also brought him because he has number of ideas about how these agri technologies can be developed further. And in fact, we are bringing him again in joint collaboration with KCCI. We are having a program on 28th February where bringing different experts in the agri-tech, food tech area, so that entrepreneurs, technology developers can interact with them and try to see how we can avail the expertise that is available with these experts. And of course, another professor, he is a dental professor who has developed a bone replacement material from eggshell. So we brought him also to explain his journey. So he was explaining how he was struggling to get some funding initially, but then once he got funding through BIRAC, then now of course he has got crores of funding and his product is becoming commercial. Next slide, please. And startups created. Next slide, please. And we also facilitate ideation. So we start with ideation and help them to take it forward through hackathons. And we also try to identify best ones and try to see how we can support them. Next slide, please. So we had Dr. Vishal also with us. And there is another professor from Indian Institute of Science, Hardik Pandya. So when we said Hardik Pandya is coming, people were very excited. So they thought cricketer Hardik Pandya is here, but it was scientist Hardik Pandya. But he is also very exciting scientist, and he has done number of this type of technology development promotions. And we had another doctor there. He has just completed his MBBS. And by the time he completed his MBBS, he already has 4 companies. So he has been working with engineers and developed number of technologies which is useful for the medical community. So we wanted to expose our doctors to this type of thinking, where we think, of course, the doctor means it's only to treat. But doctors have a lot of ideas. They know the problem. which engineers do not know. So we need to understand the problem from doctors and try to see how we can address it through scientists or engineers. So that is what we are trying to do. Next slide, please. So these are some of the winning proposals from the hackathon that we had. There was one team from, I think the Smart Wheel team is from St. Joseph Engineering College, and then from other institutions. So we work with bringing together all the institutions. Next slide, please. And these are our startups. Of course, Shiv Kiran is already here, and his technology has now become a startup. This is another faculty from our physiotherapy institute. So these are some of the examples of startups that we have enabled. Next slide. So now this is, now we started with some 100 ideas and then tried to see how many can be supported. I think some 15 came, it has been narrowed down, and now out of that, maybe some 10 or so may be supported by NITE, which can become a startup immediately. Next slide, please. So how the screening has been done. Next slide, please. And the boot camp and other support was arranged for these. Next slide, please. An orientation program was held. Next slide, please. So these are some of the startups which have been selected for pre-incubation. Next slide, please. These are with our Atal Incubation Center. Next slide, please. And of course, we connect with the government bodies and international institutions. Next slide, please. We are connected with the Food and Agriculture Organization in Rome, which is a UN organization, connected with food. So we are working with them. We have been recognized as a reference center for antimicrobial resistance and aquaculture biosecurity. So we work with aquaculture industries. We work with other institutions, government institutions working on this. We work with FAO. So we conduct training programs, capacity building in other countries as a reference center. So this reference center was launched in Rome last year. So we were there for the launching in Rome. Next slide, please. So these are some of the programs we have been virtually organizing. Next slide, please. And also with the industry, on World Food Day, we brought together the MSMEs, KCCI, FSSAI, and try to understand the problems of the food industry and how institutions can address this. Next slide, please. And training programs for the industry. Next slide, please. So we organized a number of training programs. We brought experts from FSSAI also. And yeah, we are having, as I mentioned, on 28th program along with KCCI on Agri-Tech. Next slide, please. A number of webinars, and yeah, on World Ocean Day, we had a lecture by a very distinguished American scientist who is one of the giants in microbiology, recognized by the American Society for Microbiology. Next slide, please. And we have also produced some white papers for the industry to take forward. Next slide, please. One is on jasmine, which is produced locally here. So what are the products that can come up and what is the potential to take these forward? And we are working on the others also. Next slide, please. And we produce a newsletter. So our website has our newsletters which explain our activities. So if anybody is interested in connecting with us, we'll be happy. So just send us an email, see our website, send us an email, and we'll be happy to get connected with you and try to bring together the expertise from different institutions and try to facilitate development of technologies and how this can be further taken up to become startups and technologies. I think that's it. Next slide. Yeah, this of course, yeah, this is not relevant. Next slide, please. Yeah, this is our team. Yes, all our team members are here in our stall here. So you are welcome to contact us and we'll be happy to connect with you. Thank you very much.
To stay informed about the startup ecosystem, subscribe to MyStartupTV.
Hello everyone. Hi. So I can see a lot of Mangalorean startups here, And I've heard a lot about Mangalorean startups. They are very passionate, and successful startups came out of this place. So I would like to extend about our International Startup Foundation, how it can help the local Mangalorean startups and elsewhere startups as well. So there is a small story about our organization to tell about. So we started 1.5 year back, about 18 months back, and we ourselves is a startup. And we started as an India Startup Foundation, where we have done India Startup Festivals in Bangalore. Well, we started, as I said, 18 months before. Approximately 1,000 startups has registered with us. Top startups came out of it, and then they benefited out of our organization. So we are more than a startup ecosystem, because we help startups, connecting to the investors, and investors connecting to the startups. And also there are a lot of CEOs and CXOs in our network who themselves benefit networking with each other. And also, more than the startups, what we feel is this kind of mentality of an entrepreneurship should develop at the school level. So we encourage students at the age of 10, and then we bring up their ideas and make them pitch in front of the big CEOs across the world, and then make them an entrepreneurs at the age of school level. And we actually coin a word called unicorns, which means an unicorn is a word, as you know, a $1 billion worth of a company, and unicorn is something, a junior who is going to become an unicorn or an equivalent to that. So if you see, we have done many conferences for the past 1.5 year, and we have grown to the international level as well. Now we have delegates participating in our conferences from more than 20 plus countries. And as you can move the slides, so our next events are going to be in Pune, Hyderabad, and Bangalore. And we are doing some of the international events in Jamaica, Europe, and USA as well, as we going forward. So I would like to take this opportunity, and every startup has to be part of this organization to get benefited themselves. Thank you.
To stay informed about the startup ecosystem, subscribe to MyStartupTV.
Good evening to all of you. It's a very lovely evening. I can see the sunset. I think I should be enjoying the sunset and talking to you. So it gives certain motivation. I'm here to talk about something very phenomenal that's happening across the world that supports startups, innovations, young people, young by spirit. I mean to say, because I have several startups who started their second career at the age of 65. So startups has no age, no gender, and it's like Atma. Okay, it's anybody can do that, and I'll prove that. I'll have some of the examples. And in my daily life, that's what I do. I support people from various walks of life to realize their dreams. If they want to start their business, if they want to solve some problems of the country, if they want to achieve something, make a mark through innovation, that's where that's where my help comes in. So you would have heard this. Can you move to slides? Next slide. Slide number 11. Yes, thank you. So what I do is, in my incubation center, when you say incubator, commonly you remember an incubator in a hospital, right? A small box where the premature baby is kept, and doctor ensures that baby gets oxygen, right temperature, so that premature baby can grow, and once it feels confident to see the world, then doctor takes it out. So I'm sort of like that. When your idea is very, very early, you don't even know whether this idea works or not. And you don't know whether somebody copies this, whether it works or not, whether you have money or not. or do you have enough expertise to convert your idea into reality? So for example, there is one startup who makes batteries using mechanical energy. You never heard of it, right? All our batteries are chemical batteries, but he uses gravity as a source of energy. So it's a certain crazy, right? It's a ninth class thing you learn, but he doesn't know whether it works or not. For such people, our incubator comes at early stage where the failure rates are very, very high. So we give a protective environment, we give certain funding, we give mentoring, and we help them connect to the right customers, understand whether really the market needs that or not. There is a research that says 40% of the startups fail because they make a product which nobody wants. They assume that market needs. So it's not about the lack of funding. It's a lack of an idea that is sellable in the market, right? So you might be thinking, this is a great idea because it's your idea, but it really works or not, we don't know. So that's where I work, and my organization works in all these geographies. So I come from Andhra Pradesh, the latest Andhra Pradesh, not the united one. So we work with colleges, universities. That's where the real talent comes from. And we touch upon rural colleges, because when I see the students from rural colleges and institutes, they face a lot of problem. I give an example here. We have one startup, actually he's here somewhere, Pramod. He comes from a place called Bapatla. It's a east coast of Andhra Pradesh. It's like this. It has got beautiful beach, Surya Lanka beach, and but problem here is 90% of the drinking water in that region is saline. Means you can't even drink because of deforestation. The seawater has gone into their wells, and the entire municipality provides very salty water. Now this is a big problem, and he sees that problem every day in his life. Now he wants to solve that. He wants to provide a drinking water to his village, and he's coming with a design. Now you see, this kid who is coming from a small town is not from IITs or IIMs or big institutes where you have got all the tools and kits to do. Now we pick up such kids and train them, give them support, fund them, provide them a mentor, provide them a market understanding, technology, then they can solve. Then when he said, sir, it's not about my problem, there are 19,000 island places across the world which are suffering this problem. And there are 370 or 80 districts which are having the border with the ocean in India. 70% of them can't have a drinking water. There is a water, but you can't drink. Right? So this is not just in India, across the world. Now, can I solve this problem? So water is going to be commodity. No, this is what we do in an incubator. Now, how we do it? There are eggs on this. So these are the eggs where we created incubator. Another interesting story I tell. There is another place called Bhimavaram, okay, in Andhra Pradesh. It's a coastal region again. And most of the cinema stars, producers in Tollywood come from this place called Bhimavaram. So rich place, full of aquaculture. And 90% of our prawns, you eat, that comes from this place called Bhimavaram. And we have created an incubator which works the innovations, technologies that will support the small farmers who grow prawns. Can they get better prawns? Can they get healthy ones? Can we solve the disease? Can you use AI, satellite imaging, to tell which farm is good, which farm is not good? All these things. Another one, I'll tell you, another incubator we created in Tumkuru. All of you know Tumkuru district, right? Kalpataru Nadu. So the maximum copra, the dry coconut that comes from the country, is from this one district called Tumkuru. And Tiptur is the place, precisely. Now, traditionally we have been doing all these things. What is the innovation? So this university has come with a incubation center around coconut value chain. Coconut value chain, Kalpataru by name. It gives oil, it gives coconut, it gives chutney, it gives ropes, it gives textiles, it gives firewood. So that's why it's called Kalpataru. But there are no innovations around it. I think the latest innovations I saw in coconut is a doormat. Beyond that, I have not seen any innovation around coconut value chain. So this is where we can create. Lot of employment can be created. So incubators are not just a place where startups come from. These startups create not just products, they create employment. They nudge the economy to grow. They create wealth for the local people. And they improve the innovation index of this country. So startups are definitely different from regular businesses. If somebody is selling coconut, tomato sauce, that's an MSME, a micro enterprises, right? That is not a startup. Startup means if the same tomato, instead of making a sauce, simple sauce, which is already known thing, can we create something better valued? Can you make probiotic tomato? Can you make wine out of tomato? Can you make dry tomato powder so that you can keep the tomato for all the seasons? In my region, in June, July, the rate of the tomatoes goes anywhere between 0 rupee to 1 rupee per kilo. Okay, and in rainy season, like when October, and when it crosses, the price of tomato goes to up to 100 rupees. 1 rupee to 100 rupee, it goes within 6 months. Can we solve this problem? Right? See, this is what incubators do. And what else we do? We work with schools. So we have reached out to 1 lakh students in the last couple of years. Talk to them, try to understand their aspirations. We'll tell them, see, after your graduation, there are only 2 choices you have. 1, higher education. 2, any job you get, you go there. What is the third option? Can we look entrepreneurship as a third option? They don't even know such option exists. I spoke to a lot of polytechnic college students. They give wonderful ideas. The only difference between them and the successful startups is the successful startups have got a platform, they got funding, they got an opportunity to express their idea and build on that. And those ones who couldn't get the platform or an opportunity, they just stayed back wherever they are. They didn't grow. So this inequality exists, and we try to solve this inequality. And we have gone from Andhra Pradesh to Bhutan now, A to B. Now we are reaching out to Bhutan. In fact, the team of Bhutan had come to Anantapur to understand our model. So when I asked this question, why you couldn't go to premier institutes, they said, see, premier institutes anyway they'll do. When there is nothing, you should be able to do it, right? When there is nothing existing, you should build on that. And that's precisely we have done it. 2018, Anantapur had no startups, no innovations. Everyone was migrated to Bangalore and Hyderabad. Once we started our incubation center, now we have got 40 startups, and among them, couple of them actually migrated back from Bangalore to Anantapur to build their businesses. And I often tell, before 2018, Anantapur was exporting bananas. Now we are exporting biomedical equipments and engineering products all the way to Greece. Okay. And today morning we had some discussion about make in India or create in India. So this product actually created in Anantapur. All the components come within different parts of India, gets assembled and goes to different parts of the country. Okay. So next slide. So how do we do it? Okay, this is little technical, but what I do is I sit with colleges, I sit with universities and managements. I try to convince them, see, we have been doing a lot of placements. All your colleges have wonderful placements, but it is time that you should give them an opportunity to create job creators, right? How do you create job creators? Startups. It's not as simple as I speak. It involves a lot of commitment. And government has been pushing in every nook and corner that we need to create more startups because they understood, the only way forward for the country to develop is through startups and innovations. If not for that, we will not be able to, be third largest economy, right? Those countries like Israel, US, South Korea, who have invested in innovations 30, 40 years back, today they are reaping the benefits. If we invest today, in next 10, 15 years, we'll be able to reap these benefits at a scale, at a massive scale, right? So that's what I sit with the college management and help them create incubators, okay? So that their own students get benefited. Then we train the faculty. What I see is there are 2 important factors that are important for the growth of startups. They can be impediment or they can be launch pads. Parents faculty. If they have right orientation, they can be supporting to the startups. If they don't have no orientation, no understanding of this, they'll become the biggest blockade for the growth of startups. So we take it, to the faculty level, train them. If a student comes to you, please encourage them to become startups. I'll give one illustration how faculty play very key role. We had one student from second year civil engineer from our university. He came with an idea of mechanical batteries. So we are making lot of chemical batteries. These are all, recycling is an issue, pollution is an issue. So many such issues are there. And there is no, and most of this, we are moving from, lead or, aluminum kind of battery to lithium ion. Do you know that the lithium that comes to India comes from China and Brazil? It's a geopolitical. If we do not have good relationship with these two countries, our lithium ion industry will never survive. Because it's a extracted metal. It's not something you manufacture, right? It has to come from earth. And 90% of it is imported, right? So this is a dangerous thing. We need to have alternative battery system. And the student told we'll use gravity as a battery source. So we'll take stone like a lift, we'll take it something up and drop it. When you drop it, we will connect that to a certain gear and it will generate an electricity. This seemed very, very simple for me and workable. So he went to his faculty and told, sir, I have this idea. The first thing faculty told is, there is no such thing in our syllabus. Okay, it won't even work. This was the first statement the faculty told. And the student came back to me and told, sir, my faculty told like this. Then I opened Google. I showed gravity-based electricity storage systems. 2 startups list came. Gravitricity and Energy Vault. One is from England, second is from Australia. How come they are working? Sir, I never knew this is what incubators do. Right? If faculty knew that this is a possibility, that person would have encouraged. Right? So, training the faculty becomes very, very, very key important point that we have been doing across the country. Okay? And can we go to the slide number 7 or 8? Yes, thank you. Now, these are some of the products we did. Very interesting products. I would tell you 1 or 2 stories which will inspire students. So, that's first one, which looked like walkie-talkie. This was done by second year students in an engineering college. This was a request from government of Madhya Pradesh. So, there were a lot of animals that were killed by poachers in Madhya Pradesh forest. So, there were, they were killed by a very unique method. They put electric wires on the floor of the forest. When animal is walking or strolling there, when it touches that, it gets shocked and dies. And unfortunately, forest gods are getting killed. Now, this was a problem we got. Then we put up a challenge in a competition. Okay, whoever comes with a beautiful idea, workable idea, we are going to fund them. A couple of students and faculty came with an idea which worked. And we gave them money. And they went to the forest. And there was an agency called WWF. Many people would have heard, World Wildlife Fund. So they protect animals and there is a funding for that. And when we give this device to the forest, the gods, they were so happy, they were actually crying. Sir, this is going to save our lives. Okay. This is like our life god. Now, what started as a small idea became a big business now. Now, this kind of product, we are actually recently, government of Tamil Nadu showed interest to buy such products. We are in Andhra Pradesh. Now we are supplying this to Madhya Pradesh and Tamil Nadu and many such places. So this is how you build innovations. Okay. And another one, can you go to next slide? Okay. This last one, the furniture one, there are some furniture based startups here. Anantapur district has almost 60,000 hectares of banana cultivation. Okay. And we export a lot of bananas to many countries. After the harvesting of banana, the stem is basically discarded, allowed and burnt. They burn them. And lot of pollution that happens. Now one student came with an idea. Sir, these are all there. People are burning it. It's creating pollution. We'll come with a solution. Okay, fine. Take time and come with a solution. And after our program, yesterday you had Naveen Lakur talk, right? So he is our innovation coach and he's our knowledge partner. He does a lot of such programs for us. And after his program is over, they came with an idea. Why can't we convert them into furniture? Okay. Well, explain in detail. Then he told, sir, we'll take the stems, make them into pulp and we dry them. Then we use a certain glue, the kind of gum we get, and we make it into kind of, boards. So this will solve many problems. One, a low cost furniture to the people. Second, the banana stem that is being burnt is stopped, which is solving the environmental problem. And the farmers who otherwise don't get any extra money other than the product, I am going to buy each stem for 10 rupees. Okay. So in an acre, 1,000 trees will come, banana trees. So they get straight away 10,000 rupees without their effort, which otherwise they burn. It's like burning 10,000 rupees. So we are giving 10,000 rupees extra. There's a income generation for the farmer. There's a minimizing the pollution. Third, you are creating a new line of product in the market. So this was the innovation. We liked it. So we immediately funded. And these are the students, BCom, BSc, 12th standard. We also have stories about a student from 7th standard, a tribal girl from Alluri Sitaramaraju district. She can't even speak English, but she has got wonderful product. And bone conduction earphones. Not many people have this idea. So I can see that India has no dearth of innovative ideas. It's just they need launch pads. It's just they need a certain care and platforms like us to take it forward. In fact, there is a next slide. Yeah. So this is something related to healthcare. The first one is a printer. It's a bioprinter which prints human tissue. Your BP, your perspiration levels, SpO2 levels, like that 7 parameters it will take without taking the blood. And it will give this information to the doctor wherever the doctor is sitting. So doctor need not go to the patient. And patient can be in any village with basic internet, and any person with a basic understanding of mobile phone can use this device, capture this data, send it to the doctor. This bridges gap between rural and urban, because I have noticed a lot of people, especially senior citizens, elderly people, they come to the town hospitals like Anantapur for silly reasons. Okay, because like silly in the sense, not in a negative sense, because those kind of ailments can be treated in their own homes or with little bit medicative efforts. They need not come to hospital. What is happening? The doctors are overburdened by OPD patients. One problem. Second problem, these rural women or whoever they are, the patients, they had to travel 10 kilometers in a share auto, spend half a day, then have some food in the afternoon. Again, they have to go back in a share auto. It will cost them every 100 rupees to 200 rupees every day, as long as there is an ailment. Why should they travel for small diseases? It's not necessary, right? If the data is given to the doctor can tell what kind of tablets they can do or what kind of home remedies they can follow so that their sickness comes down within a couple of days. So that saves a lot of time to the doctor, hospitalization, their expenses. This is how it bridges gap between urban and rural. This is the kind of innovations you need to look at. Youngsters who are sitting here, note that startups are different from regular businesses. Regular businesses, they do for their own survival. Okay. They want to make money. They want to start a cinema theater. They want to have a rice mill. It's good. They are not depending on others. They are on their own. But startups are several notches high. They take risk. They want to solve a problem in the world. They want to make sure that some of these problems are solved and they'll have a satisfaction out of it. Okay. Money always comes little later. Whenever I talk to my startups, what motivated them is they have a personal problem. And one of my startup lost his father due to COVID. So that's why he started a company so that other people do not die because of this reason. Look at the altruism. Look at the empathy they create. That's what startups really will see. And when we fund these startups, we have funded almost 2.5 crores. From a single incubator, startups have got 2.5 crores. Like this, we have almost 700 to 800 incubators across the country. Now you can imagine how much money there is there for the startups, right? So I feel this is the right time for youngsters who want to really chisel out your future. Okay, like they say, Swami Karyam Swakaryam. So you do God's work and you also do your work. So both, there is a beautiful statement in Sanskrit, Atmano Mokshaya Jagathitaya. So you have your whatever your personal ambitions, same time make sure that world gets benefited out of it. And I'll give you another dimension to this, because I also represented a startup ecosystem in G20. There, this is the Startup 20 is the highest platform for the startups in the world, right? Here, recently there was a commitment given by 20 nations. What is the commitment? $1 trillion of investment in startups every year. Those startups which are creating value, solving some of the sustainable development goals. There are 17 goals listed by United Nations, like zero poverty, zero hunger, good healthcare, equality, education, pollution, climate change, like that, right? So if your startup is solving some of these problems very seriously, there is a huge amount of funding that is coming through. Okay, so right time, right opportunity. So I'll be happy to support any of these startups. I have spoken to a couple of here and I give them some guidelines, but I'll be happy to support your startups. And I come from Karnataka, from Tumkur, so I always have, though wherever I work, my Janmabhoomi and is here, so I have, a lot of affinity and love for this land. So whatever initiative that comes from Karnataka, I take it up with wholeheartedness. With that objective, we created an incubator in Tumkur University and around coconut value chain to solve the problems of coconut farmers. Same way, Section Infinite Foundation is our partner here in Mangalore to help. This is the irony of Mangalore. I don't know why. This is the birthplace of several banks, and very legendary education institutes are here. There are several research organizations are here. And one of the oldest trade body, Chamber of Commerce, is here. And yet startup ecosystem has not grown the way it's supposed to have grown. I think maybe this podium or this platform will give the right booster, thruster to that ecosystem. And Mangalore should contribute to the overall economy of the Bangalore. Bangalore has, if Karnataka, if you take entire startups in Karnataka, 99.2 startups are in Bangalore. Just in Bangalore. 0.8 startups are rest of the Karnataka. So when you say Karnataka is the biggest startup ecosystem, no, it is Bangalore, not Karnataka. So I think you should give a tough competition to Mangalore, and we are the Bangalore. So I really take this opportunity to thank all of you for bringing me here, share my thoughts. I'll be happy to take up one or two questions if the chair permits. You can raise your hand so that they know that.
Hello, sir. This is Prashant. So once the product is done under the incubator, what is the next big problem that startups face that you have noticed?
Yeah, there are several problems you face, definitely. I don't call them problems. It's next milestones, should I say, put it in a positive perspective. It's next milestones. So once a product is developed, you need to validate that product in the market at different levels. And customer validation is required. If you have enough money, that's fine. If you do not have money, then you also need to raise another round of investment. And if it is related to healthcare or aviation or defense tech products, then you need to get certain clearances from respective authorities. Like if you have EV, then there is an agency in Chennai. That's a singular agency that gives validation and licensing for such EVs. If you are working on a tractor, then there is a Ministry of Agriculture's tractor testing unit. Unless they test and certify, you cannot use that in the fields. If it is a healthcare, there is a CDSCO and other bodies which do that. So those are all certain restrictions you get it when you are using niche products, right? Specific products. If it is a regular commodity, if you are using organic rice or something like that, or even as simple as a SaaS product, I don't think you need to worry too much. There, if it is a very competitive market like SaaS products or organic soaps or such things, it's highly competitive, right? It's a very crowded market. then you need to have a lot of money for marketing and understanding, which market it is. So money comes there. So it depends on what kind of product and which startup. Your milestones vary. Okay. Yeah. Okay, you can shout your question. If that's okay. Okay. Right. It's all right. We'll have a side chat. Yeah.
Sure.
Thank you. Thank you very much. Jai Hind.
To stay informed about the startup ecosystem, subscribe to My Startup TV.
The launch of my new book, Don't Think Big, Think Giant, From Passion to Profit, Embrace Failure and Break Barriers to Build Your Dream Startup. This book is more than just a collection of words. It's a culmination of a passionate journey, countless hours of exploration, and deep desire to share what I have learned with you. For too long, we have been told that success is reserved for a lucky few. We have been conditioned to believe that aiming small is safe and settling for average or the ordinary is acceptable. What if I told you that today is the day we break free from those limitations? Don't Think Big, Think Giant is not just a book. It's a call to action and a roadmap to achieving great is your own limiting beliefs. So why think giant? Because thinking giant is not enough. To truly achieve greatness, you need to adopt a giant mindset. This means seeing possibilities where others see limitations and turning challenges into victories. As an author, my mission has always been to provoke thought, stir emotion, and inspire change. This book is an avatar of that mission. It challenges you to think differently, to push your boundaries, and to embrace the giant within you. This book serves as your roadmap to success as an entrepreneur or entrepreneur. Discover the critical mindset needed to thrive, from igniting belief in yourself to cultivating passion and growth-oriented attitude. This book also delves into the practicalities of starting and growing your venture. Master the passion, art of decision making and prioritizing while building a strong team and prioritizing an exceptional customer service. While the book offers real-world examples, proven strategies and activities, it also emphasizes the power of your mind, unlock your full potential through brain power and hypothetical visualization techniques. Explore the importance of understanding different types of problems, using empathy to build strong connections. Whether you are an entrepreneur, aspiring entrepreneur, business owner, innovator, student, or curious mind, I challenge you today to pick up a copy of the book and take the first step towards becoming the best version of yourself. Remember, success is not a destination, it's a journey. And with Don't Think Big, Think Giant as your compass, you can navigate the journey with confidence and achieve anything you set your mind to. I hope this book finds its way in your hearts and minds, sparking conversation and connections and inspiring you to break free from limiting beliefs. I want it to entertain, enlighten, and challenge your perception, encouraging you to embrace the journey ahead. Thank you for being part of this celebration. I truly believe Don't Think Big, Think Giant will be a profound impact on your life. Now let's raise a toast to this transformative journey where each reader embarks on their path to greatness. Thank you.
To stay informed about the startup ecosystem, subscribe to My Startup TV.
Government of India program, which is the AI program, the national program for AI. It's basically on couple of areas. One is on health, as almost all of you would be aware that AI can be used on health, right from dementia onwards, where you remember, you make the patient remember his older days, you use AR, VR, and all the techniques, IoT techniques, which are required for him to do better in terms of his memory. Similarly, you could use trending analysis, data analysis, the various data mining and structuring that you need to do, and so on, for all the health trends. Again, in life sciences, biotechnology, you could use for genome sequencing, infectious diseases, the trends, the gender analytics, and all of that. Similarly, you could be looking at AI for differently abled. You could be looking at, like, say, standing wheelchairs, to any kind of technique which would help differently abled. So health has a huge scope. There are several test cases. So the whole idea of this AI program that I'm talking about is that we would be requesting, Niti Aayog is along with METI, has formed this program, and we would be requesting each of the ministries to take charge of the test cases. It could be Ministry of Environment, Ministry of Water, it could be Animal Husbandry, Coal, Fly Ash, or any of these ministries to take charge of some of these test cases, and then the startups could be helping them to implement those projects. So health is one large piece, as I said, for social impact. Then comes education. Again, a lot of education is done through AI tools, especially again for differently abled and for slow learners, for autistic students, and also, of course, to look at the trends of and analytics of education. Then comes agriculture. That's the other big piece, where you look at AgTech and AI for AgTech. Right from looking at weather, water, moisture, soil cultivation, the measurements which are there, all the metrics that we get from different ministries. It's all open today, and people, the startups are using them. You could have apps which help the farmers to look at crop patterns. You could have there are some good middlemen as well who try and help the farmers, largely the NGOs and civil society. So there are in languages, it has to be. Similarly, we also have health, agriculture, mobility are the three large pieces, and education, of course. But there are other areas like biodiversity, animals, and we study the trends of those animals, the species, how many are going to live how many years, and things like that. So there's a lot of trend analysis that we do, predictive analysis that we do. But there are certain issues there. One is, I think each one of us need to put efforts, especially the startups. And so you need to have a grounds up data as well, and do a comparison with the government data, and use both for that matter, so that there is completeness, there's accuracy, and you also have authentic data. Now here, there needs to be some kind of a strategy when you are collecting the data, because of the fact that why should a farmer or anybody for the rural milieu share any data with you? So it's important that you keep them as a stakeholder, and you train them, and you teach them. It's like a capacity building, where you tell them that there is something in it for them. When they give you data, maybe you will use that to get loans for them. The bank credits, for instance, credit worthiness, for instance. So there is something that you need to give back to that person immediately, because you cannot expect somebody who is not so literate to understand why the data has to be collected, why it has to be authentic, why it needs to be needed, why AI is used, and etc., etc. So hence, this would be a strategy where you have a grounds up view, and you also have him as a stakeholder, and he gains something out of that. So that's the second piece that you need to look at. There are several countries that have been using AI in different manners. They have different models, but I think India's model of AI for all is something which is going to be relevant. However, each piece needs to talk to each other, and hence there could be AgTech AI related projects come together, so that there is no duplication of efforts, and there is no there is a structured scale up, because you can't just keep doing cute experiments all the time. You need to scale up. You need to have sustainability. You need to have a sustainable technology. So come together to see that what each of you have as strengths and what are you trying to develop, and do not duplicate efforts. Similarly for health, mobility and so on. So this is where Manthan comes in. So during COVID, we had about 300 to 400 innovations that were thrown on us, and the pandemic was on. So we were wondering at that time that how do we manage so many evaluation of innovations, and how do we ensure that we give the right thing to the public, how do we encourage the right startup and so on. And this had to be done very quickly. We managed to do that. We looked at oxygen concentrators, ventilators, we looked at reagents, testing kits and all of that. And we did about 800 crores at that time. So that is how I realized that we are just 3-4 people trying to do things right now. So how do we move out, and how we are not the bottleneck for each of you to engage with each other. And that's why we thought of Manthan, which is a platform for all. It's a free platform. It's an OTP based registration, and we crowdsource all the challenges and all the projects from different industries, as well as different foundations, line ministries. There are 17 line ministries there, about 22 countries, so different countries like Sweden, Korea, Japan and so on. So there are several of them providing their problem statements and challenges for the startups and academic institutes to apply. So we give a month or so for each challenge and for each competition, or for each opportunity as we call it, so that you are able to get grants, you are able to get you are able to provide the proposals and you get the grants. There are 222 startups who have got grants this year. We have sourced about 6,300 crores worth of projects as well as competitions and challenges so far in a year and a half. And we would like to keep going. And of course, once we get one organization, then the repetitive business comes on its own. We don't need to really, keep cajoling them to come to the platform. They understand the importance of the platform. Of course, you need to have patience as a startup, because you will keep applying and sometimes you may not get it so easily, but there would be a time when you can crack Foundation, Elon Musk, all kinds of organizations on the platform, STFC, Intel, Microsoft and so on. And everything is given very transparently. You have the problem statement, transparent, opportunity is given, success story, result, proposals, everything is given. You could also showcase your innovation on the showcase side, so that people can engage with you like a LinkedIn. So people engage and then they talk to you, on the sidelines. And we don't have a payment gateway, because I don't believe in touching funds, but you can get funds outside of the platform once you engage with each other and you sign an MOU and so on. And then you give us a success story so that gets amplified. And the last bit there is that organizations like Amazon, Netflix, Doordarshan, Sunset TV, there are several OTTs who are with us, Daily Hunt, and we have now we most probably will have the My Startup program as well. So the MyStartupTV as well. So there are several of them who take your innovations, the winners of the challenges, and they amplify it. They take it international. There are international movies made out of it. In fact, I wrote a little storyline for Amazon Prime where I said there are only 300 incubators in India. So how do all the grassroots innovators, garage innovators, and independent innovators learn? So we have done a reality show called the Mission Start Up, where we have, Snapdeal, Kunal and a couple of other investors as investors. And these founders, we put the challenge on the platform, and about 1,500 founders applied, and about 14 founders have been selected today. And they are the ones who are doing this reality shows and teaching other startups in terms of what is communication, what is leadership styles, and so on and so forth. So there's a lot that can be learned from each other, and this is what we do through the OTT platforms that are there on the on Manthan as such. Lastly, I will leave you with just one thought that if we don't work in an integrated manner, we are never going to touch the first two countries that I was talking about. And hence we really need to work together. We need to scale up quickly, and the investors here need to take that risk. There are several investors in the other countries who are actually taking risks and looking at startups with a lot of trust. So we need to look at each other with a lot of trust, and we need to align to what we want to do as a government as well as a nation. and all of us really need to work together. Thank you so much for providing this opportunity. Thank you.
To stay informed about the startup ecosystem, subscribe to MyStartupTV.
Good evening, one and all present here. At SGEC, we started our first MBA program in 2007. I am here to give a glimpse of the management programs that we run at St. Joseph Engineering College. In fact, the first program that was started in 2007 generally focused on job seekers, focus only on job seekers, and we were thinking very widely on this, and we wanted to introduce a course which would directly focus on job creators. Therefore, when the college became autonomous in 2021, we applied to AICT, and it was a tough task for us to get this program. And finally, with the efforts of the visionaries of St. Joseph Engineering College, we have started a niche program which caters to innovation, entrepreneurship and venture development, and the permission was granted to us to start this niche program with a sanctioned intake of 30. The course titled is MBA, Innovation, Entrepreneurship and Venture Development. Now, why did we focus on MBA, Innovation, Entrepreneurship and Venture Development? In fact, this course is in line with the Startup India initiative of Government of India, and the course offers practical experiences for real world problem solving. Then it empowers students to transition into entrepreneurs and job creators, as I said. Then, of course, side by side, it implements mentorship initiatives for venture development, creates incubation and startup culture on campuses, and exposes students to global entrepreneurship trends and diverse. As I already told you, this is a recognized program, AICTE, MHRD, UGC and Ministry of Education. It is a 2 years full-time program. The advantage of this program is side by side, you can start your startup and you will get a full business administration degree which is recognized by AICTE as well as UGC. What are the key takeaways of the new venture development? And it teaches you how to take an idea, build prototype, launch to carry to early customers in the market, then knowledge of venture growth strategies, knowledge of business models and fundraising, and of course, information on startup related policies of the Indian government, knowledge of international startup ecosystem and knowledge of team and talent management. Now, what are the benefits of this program? As I already told you, knowledge of business models and fundraising, ability to develop and evaluate business plans, knowledge of international startup ecosystem, scaling up or developing existing ventures, knowledge of hiring and talent management, knowledge of venture growth strategies, capability to take an idea, build a prototype and launch it in the market. The course is a 4-semester course with an innovative curriculum. If you see the course titles, they are not the titles of the traditional MBA program. In the first semester, we have got courses on innovation and management. Of course, the specific titles are ideation and design thinking for entrepreneurs, techno-entrepreneurship. Then we have got innovation, development and management. And in the first semester itself, we have got 2 capstone projects. Then coming to the second semester, we have got a course on entrepreneurial leadership and is on venture development. And we have got 2 capstone projects, 1 capstone project and 1 acceleration program. Then in the third semester, we have got courses on venture financing and startup policies, particularly to raise funds for the startup ideas. Then side by side, we offer skill development courses from Coursera, and in the 4th semester, all the students are let free to start their venture. It is called as real venture establishment. Next slide, please. This is the entire outline of the capstone projects. In fact, capstone projects cover 55% of the entire syllabus. We have got capstone project 1 starting from proof of concept, Second is on business model fit. Third capstone project on, again continuing on business model fit. Then 2 action learning programs, enterprise residency learning program, and finally action learning 2 is real venture establishment. There are four ways of learning. Of course, classroom teaching is 40% of the total course. Then you have got 3 capstone projects and 2 action learning segments. Then we have got 3 skill certification programs in the entire program. There are 4 tracks in fact. The foundation of ideation, innovation and entrepreneurship track. Second is startup experiential track. The third one is entrepreneurship intensity track. And the last one is venture establishment track. These are our industry mentors. We have got C.A. Salome Lobo, Mithun Bhatt Kakunji, he was here at 7 o'clock, I met him. Then Arjun John D'Souza, who is a managing director of Alter Marketing Solutions, who is focusing purely his business on digital marketing. Then Sachin Nayak, we have got Rupa Bhatt, Gaurav Kamath from Micro Degree, and Prashant Shanai, who is the director of Mangalore Infotech Solutions. In fact, these mentors, industry mentors, they interact with our MBA students to train them to take their business forward. This is our strategy. We have got a team of experienced faculty and industry mentors. We start fostering innovative and entrepreneurial skills, develop business ideas, develop a viable business model, utilize collaborations and expertise from various people to launch the enterprises, and our goal is to see that our student becomes a successful entrepreneur. This is everything from my side. The intention of presenting this is that there are very many people who can become professors of practice, and you can also join us as industry mentors to take this program forward. Thank you for the support.
To stay informed about the startup ecosystem, subscribe to MyStartupTV.
Hi, good afternoon, Mangaluru. I'll be taking you through a small AI journey, and I'll be talking about how it's gonna benefit Indian economy, and as a startup, all of you, how it gonna affect. So I was not aware, what I should talk. What should be the topic? So I asked this question to my AI assistant, Copilot, that what Mangalore startups want to hear and what people in Mangalore want to hear. So I got some 20 odd answers. From that, I have selected few, and that I'm gonna present. So the picture which you can see in the screen, so that's AI generated. So I'm a Konkan, but I never visited Mangalore, so I wasn't aware, how Mangalore will look like. So I asked this question. So this is what my AI assistant generated for me. So I can very well say that many of you might have used AI, Gen AI in your work, or for some reason, for fun or for work, you might have used. From the research organization's report, I can see that, and you all might have known that Gen AI came to us somewhere after pandemic, and it took very little time to spread among us. When we compare this with mobile phone or tablet, it took years to reach something like 75 million users. So in case of Gen AI, it took something like less than a year to reach. So similarly, I think you are not able to see the second chart. this talk about the compute power. So back in 2010, the total compute power used by AI, all these supercomputers in IASCs and all these universities and research organization and private public, IBM Blue, Gene, and all that organization, it was somewhere around 1 petaflop. So which is equivalent to something like 1 billion personnel, each with somewhere around 1 million calculator. And if you do the calculation, how much the power is required, compute power is required, that is equivalent to 1 petaflop. So that was the capacity used by the AI back in 2010, somewhere around that time. So currently, how much it is used? Any guess? I think no. So currently, somewhere around 10 billion petaflop. That is the capacity, it's used by many organizations, and ChatGPT itself is using somewhere around 3.5 million or something like that. The number is crazy number. So also, there are two pictures from the similar event. One happened back in 2005 and the another in recently, before pandemic or somewhere during the pandemic. So can you tell me the difference? Exactly. So compared to 1.5 decade back, now the mobile phone usage are more, which means that everybody is generating data. So the data overflows, and somewhere this need to be stored. Somebody is processing this data and generating something else, etc. So let's park that there. And there is one more question which we were trying to address. In our organization, we were trying to find out how this AI is affecting us. So we have asked 2 developers to write a JavaScript using AI and without using AI. So with taking the help of AI and without taking the help of AI. Can you tell me, I believe, you might have, some of you might have programming background. So how much time it takes for writing a JavaScript without AI? I think it's there in the screen. So the developer took somewhere around 2 hours 41 minutes to create that or write that code. At the same time, the person with AI assistant did that in 1 hour 11 minutes. You can understand how, it reduced the time by 60% or more than 50%. So that's a productivity gain from the AI assistant. So and I can say that there are many study and some of the studies says that 70% of developers are using AI. Somebody says that 92 and somebody says 80. So in either case, it's the number is very high. Okay, let's park that as well. What all mean? Data is increasing, and algorithm like GPT and GPT 3.54 and GPT-4 Turbo is ruling the world now, and the compute capacity is increasing and the productivity is increasing. So what that mean to all of us? It means it was earlier creative, cognitive and mechanical, which means that So it was creative, cognitive, and mechanical, which also means that earlier building a robots were much easier than doing some creative task. However, right now it's reverse. Now it's easy to train the ALM to talk like me, or create a picture, or talk like our Prime Minister Modi. It's easy. If you are able to train the LLM, and then we can generate whatever we want. At the same time, building a robot is still difficult task. So or doing mechanical things are more difficult. Let me come to the point. How it gonna affect it. All this data gonna affect us. So I can see that from various study that Indian economy will get benefited. So the recent study from E&Y say that Indian economy gonna go help by 1.2 trillion by 2030, which means that somewhere around 5.9 to 7.2% of GDP will be from Gen AI services, which also means that the startup need to adapt this. And similarly, there are various pointers which also says that 80% of enterprises will use Gen AI. That's Gartner says that. And similarly, PwC say that PwC India recent survey say that 50% of enterprises already on it, and we are adding somewhere around 100 startups every day. And from Mahesh, I heard that the number is much more now, and it's reached some 170,000. That's a number I heard. Last 1 year, so we heard about Gen AI. Gen AI was there, with us like 3-4 years. However, we heard about Gen AI after release of Open CI Gen AI version, ChatGPT. So what happened after ChatGPT? So everybody were rushing for Gen AI capability. So Microsoft, Google, Amazon, all were investing millions of dollars or billions of dollars into Gen AI, and they all developed their own LLMs. And in India also there are a lot of startup came up with LLMs, and some of them are getting integrated with Microsoft. Can you move to the next slide? So I have 3 simple tips for who are currently studying and who owns enterprises. So the first is learn, unlearn, and build. So whatever you have learned earlier, probably you need to unlearn and learn new things. That's what you can see from the previous chart. In 1 year, there were so many zero thrust. It directly jumped into AI technologies. Now AI technologies are ruling everywhere. And second is unlock productivity. So wherever, whatever you do, you need to integrate your work with AI, and you need to utilize these AI technologies. And third is wherever you work, you need to build your own capability, especially for startups. You need to build your own chatbots. You need to use this existing LLMs and train your stuff so that it could be used in your whatever, mobile app or websites or e-commerce, whatever you do, you could get benefit out of it. It's my last slide. So what is the 3 key message for startups? So my key messages are, one is AI is the most exciting market, and it will rule the world next in next few years. So if you are not adapting it, you may be out of the game. Second is AI is very real. It's not a hype. So I don't need to explain this to you. So we are using AI, many of us using AI, and many of the organizations are using AI, and many of the organizations are training resources. Recently, Microsoft announced
with such wonderful people who had so much of knowledge to share and the experience from the industry, from the academia, and also from the startup world, right? So today we are continuing to hear more and also about the intellectual properties and how that is going to make an impact, right? We need to create more IP, and that is what as humans we are born with that intelligence. If only we know how to nurture them, support them, and engineer their devices in such a way that they are able to ride the wave and it's fun. Trends are of that kind. If only we understand the science, then it's going to be a fun ride, right? Otherwise it's going to be a tough one, swimming against the currents. It's a smarter way to ride with the wave, and this is the stage being set today for me to speak about the twin trends, which is driving innovation and entrepreneurship. So some of them are going to be based on my own personal experience, and I'm going to be even tapping into, okay, I'm going to be drawn to my system, and let's see. Okay, looks like I need to have a dive. Can I get your help, please? Can you click the down arrow? So it needs my attention. So this is like a pet. My system is like a pet. So wants to see me, and maybe AI enabled, right? So needs that recognition. I'm going to be actually referring to my book by name Inseparable Twins. It's also been translated into Kannada called Avali Javali Sutragalu. And this is a book to inspire innovation and entrepreneurship. So there are three characters in this. One is Appy and Proppy. They are two elephants, and they are synonym to happiness and prosperity. And these two are just amazing, brimming with a lot of questions, and they're very inspired, and they want to become intrapreneurs or entrepreneurs, right? So they want to do their startup, and they're very interested in coming with ideas, and they happen to meet a human friend, and he becomes a friend, and then their mentor. Okay, they understand the power and the usefulness of a mentor. So that they learn and they accelerate. That's one of the secret, right? So welcome. Let's welcome Appy, Proppy, and they are here with this beautiful setup to engage with you and share their thoughts with you and their questions with you, and also to listen to you as to what you've got to say and what you're presenting, right? So if you get to meet any of these two elephants, don't be scared. They actually have so much fun with you. So I'm sure you will have fun with them, right? So this is Appy, Proppy, and Lucky. So let's see what they are up to. Okay. So here they have a lot of questions. Okay. The spirit of entrepreneurship. They are very interested to know what is this entrepreneurship and why entrepreneurship, and what can happen through entrepreneurship. So a lot of questions. Why, when, where, and why me, kind all that, right? They have these questions, and Lucky is happy to take questions, because in this world of AI, I think the power is going to be coming through the questions. It's not the answers, right? Our education system has been tuned, and we've all learned how to answer. We have not been taught how to question. So even ChatGPT or your Googles can't help you if you don't know what to ask and how to ask, right? So this is something that we need to all develop ourselves, and the coming generation needs to be learning how to ask questions, right? And when to ask questions. So questions are more powerful when it comes to entrepreneurial journeys than the answers. You will figure it out as an answer, but then information, knowledge, all of that is there in abundance today. Right? They ask a lot of questions, and let's see whom to tap and get to know. Okay, so here tapping into one of amazing gurus, and Sri Satya Sai Baba once said that I want more youth and youngsters to embrace entrepreneurship. So when asked why, he said in such simple three things. One, he said entrepreneurs are those special people who will identify a problem and solve it. Very simple. They're very powerful people, and the simple people who identify a problem and solve it. Second, they're special because rather than seeking jobs, they will provide jobs. Fantastic, right? Very powerful again. And a lot of them are worried what jobs are going to be taken away by AI, but if it is entrepreneurial thing that, which will create jobs. So that's one of the reasons why your mindset should shift towards entrepreneurship. The third is they're very special because they're talented and have the power to create value and wealth. Aspect is taken care, right? They can't live one without the other. And here, according to them, it is innovation focus which is going to help drive entrepreneurial journeys. And on the other hand, we just heard from Bindu how it's going to be helpful to have that, the patents or the novelty in their ideas and so on. And we also had our doctor who presented from NITE as to how they're been helping, and the innovation and the kind of the patents or the ideas which has become commercial realities today, right? Be it in the healthcare side or be it in the manufacturing, and we got many insights through that, right? So that is the API side, which is the blue, and they are in the trunk war, but then API says it's the innovation focus. And the other side, Propi says, and it is, she means technology. She wants scalability. She wants something which is reliable, and in terms of making the process, it's process driven. That is what she believes, and she says it is technology focus. Let's see which one you want to take side. Okay, let's see. Some show of hands. How many of you believe it is innovation focus which will help drive startups? Show of hands. Okay, I see many hands. Wow, happy should be happy with that. And I was actually also wanting to see, I see one happy and proppy right here. Okay, so the husband and wife, yesterday, the wife was Indrani, like, she was on the stage sharing all her experience and so on. I am sure she can relate to Proppy so much. Process driven, it has to be like method to the madness, and ability to switch hats so easily. And in the end, before leaving, she was so happy and came to me and said, you should meet my husband, tomorrow he's going to be here. And today I get to hear him about, all the inventions and the innovations which is going to be in the market, which is making a difference and bringing happiness, right? So the creating that social impact. So that is really happy. So I'm very happy to witness Appy and Proppy seated here. Well, you see two of them right there on the screen, but you want to see the real one, they are seated here. Okay, a round of applause to both of them for the kind of work that they are doing. And they both happen to be from this region, creating an impact globally, right? And this is exactly what Appy and Proppy are. And I saw many hands going up that you want to be supporting, or you think it is innovation focus which will give you that impetus, the force to really thrive in your startup journeys, right? And I see many of those novelties and the kind of innovation. And Ifya Bharat is here, and I'm sure Anand is going to be jumping up to say it is innovation focus, not just innovation, it has to be inventions. And Anand, where are you? I'm sure he'll be so happy to know that, right? So show of hands for those who believe it is technology which is going to be making a difference.